government focuses on economic development and promoting investment. Madani Rakyat program to help people evaluate government's policies. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. A happy Lunar New Year to all celebrating. My name is Daryl Baptist and you're now tuning into Malaysia Tonight. In our first story, economic development and promoting investment are the focus of the Madani government in restoring Malaysia's status as a respected country. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said to realise this, the Cabinet has set several aspects to be emphasised and implemented this year, including increasing investment and developing the country's capabilities in all areas such as education, health and culture.
Suggested that 2024, with political stability, with a strong government, the Madani government, we must focus on economic development, investments and expanding our capabilities and capacity in all fields. The Cabinet has endorsed this and has been told to really focus to ensure that Malaysia becomes a great nation in the region. It has the capacity, it is peaceful, it has bahasa, of course, the national language, it has a rich culture, and this is one country that have so many people proficient in bahasa, proficient in English, proficient in Mandarin, in Tamil. This is our source of strength, would attract investors knowing that it is a peaceful country with a better quality of education, which we will have to give more emphasis from now.
He said this in his speech at the Chinese New Year celebration hosted by the Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Chinese Assembly Council, or KL-SCAH, in the federal capital today. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Anwar, who is also the Minister of Finance, said that Malaysia-China relations are now at a strategic level and will be able to bring more investment to this country. He added that the good relations between the two countries will continue to be put to use for the good of the people. China is one of the biggest investors in Malaysia's economic sector, and now Malaysia is looking to develop that relationship covering the fields of education, culture and cooperation between universities and the big companies.
Bahawa hubungan Malaysia-China sudah sampai ke tahap strategik yang membanggakan, dan Presiden Xi Jinping dan Premier Li Qiang, Menteri Luar Wangi dan pimpinan itu sentiasa ada hubungan yang baik untuk kepentingan rakyat negara kita dan bersama.
Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook thanked AirAsia for supporting the government's initiative in providing more additional midnight flights at fixed rates to Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan during the ongoing Lunar New Year festive season.
In a video posted on his Facebook page, Lok said the initiative taken by the local carrier has made it more affordable for Sabahans and Sarawakians to fly home to celebrate the Chinese New Year with fares as low as 298 ringgit. Showing his appreciation for the effort made by AirAsia, Lok also gave out free red t-shirts for passengers on flight AK9070 to Cebu, Sarawak on 7th February to mark the arrival of the Year of the Dragon. On 15th December last year, Lok announced that the government agreed to subsidize the purchase of economy class flight tickets exceeding 599 ringgit. The subsidy is applied for a one-way trip from the peninsula to Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan for 3 days before the major festive seasons of Aidilfitri, Chinese New Year, Keamatan, Gawai Day and Christmas.
The flow of traffic on several major highways as of 5 p.m. today was congested or moving slowly due to the mass movement of the public in conjunction with the Chinese New Year celebrations and the long holiday.
A Malaysian Highway Authority, or LLM, spokesman informed that traffic was congested and moving slowly for about 5 kilometers on the Duta Ulu Klang Expressway, or Duke, heading towards the Gombak Toll Plaza from Taman Greenwood and Batu Caves. Besides that, traffic conditions were reported to be moving slowly heading north from Sungai Buloh Hospital to Rawang Selatan, from Bukit Beruntung to Bukit Taga, Sungkai to Bidor, Tapa to Gopeng, and Bandar Baharu to Bandar Kasia. Elsewhere, traffic flow on the East Coast Expressway, or LPT-1 and LPT-2 in both directions is smooth, except for Lentang to Bentong heading east. Traffic congestion and slow movement were also reported heading south, from Nilai to RNR Seramban, from Bandar Ainsdale to Senawang, and from Simpang Ampat to Ayer Keroh.
The Madani Rakyat program for the Central Zone will be held at the Kuala Selangor Sports Complex for 3 days, starting 23rd February. This initiative is implemented to allow the local community to understand, observe and assess the new policies and initiatives introduced by the Madani government aimed at improving the people's well-being.
The Secretariat of the Madani Rakyat Program said the initiative covers the states of Selangor, Perak, the Federal Territories of Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya. The program serves as a platform for the Rakyat to access services directly from federal government ministries and state-level agencies, while also providing an opportunity for the general public to offer feedback and suggestions to improve service quality. It also fosters ongoing communication between the public and the government, enhancing relationships and advancing the goal of building a more prosperous nation in line with the Malaysia Madani agenda. According to the Secretariat, the program focuses on activities related to agriculture and food security, technical and vocational education and training, as well as the people's welfare, along with various services provided by federal agencies and the Selangor state government in particular.
In our business segment, short-term interbank rates are expected to remain stable next week. Short-term interbank rates are expected to remain stable next week on Bank Negara Malaysia's, or BNM's, operations to absorb surplus liquidity from the financial system.
This week, the central bank intervened daily to reduce excess funds from the financial system by conducting conventional money market, reverse repo, card and Bank Negara interbank bills Islamic tenders. The total liquidity surplus in the conventional system for the week fell to 27.15 billion ringgit from 34.77 billion ringgit in the preceding week. In the Islamic system, surplus liquidity decreased to 21.74 billion ringgit from 29.58 billion ringgit previously. The Malaysia Islamic overnight rate stood at 3.00% as of 8th February.
The ringgit is expected to trade range-bound in a cautious mode, hovering around the 4 ringgit 76 cent level with an upside bias against the US dollar next week. Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad Chief Economist Dr. Muhammad Afza Nizam Abdul Rashid said the ringgit had been in an oversold position for some time and a long overdue technical correction is expected to emerge to lift the currency slightly higher.
Dr. Muhammad Afza Nizam noted that issues surrounding the timing for the United States rate cut and the anticipation for a forceful China economic stimulus will continue to drive market sentiments. Next week, he said the key focus will be the US Consumer Price Index, which will be released on Tuesday, and Malaysia's fourth quarter 2023 gross domestic product announcement on 16th February. For the week just ended, the local note was traded mixed, while weighing on various US US economic data to gauge the US interest rate path as well as expectations of China's huge stimulus package. On a Friday-to-Friday basis, the ringgit was traded lower against the US dollar compared to the previous week. However, the local unit was traded higher against other major currencies. It rose vis-a-vis the Japanese yen, increased against the British pound, and appreciated versus the euro. The ringgit was traded mostly lower against a few ASEAN currencies.
The Malaysian rubber market is expected to trade at equilibrium with supply and demand dynamics offsetting each other. The Malaysian Rubber Glove Manufacturers Association past president Dennis Low said rubber production and trading activities would be curtailed to a certain extent due to the incessant rains in rubber-producing countries and the long Chinese New Year holiday.
Low said there would be sporadic buying and replenishment activities of stock based on current usage. Hence, he said prices should remain flattish, with a slight tendency to be higher mainly due to the onset of the rubber trees wintering. Rubber production is expected to fall during this period. According to Low, China's consumer price index fell 0.8% year-on-year in January, based on data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Thursday, and it was the steepest monthly decline in consumer prices in over 14 years. He added the situation might cause activity contraction within China's expansive manufacturing sector and affect the rubber demand and consumption, as China is the largest importer of rubber. As such, he said there will be too many uncertainties, which does not augur well for a strong demand and better prices in the interim.
Bursa Malaysia is likely to remain quiet next week following the Chinese New Year holiday. SPI Asset Management Managing Partner Stephen Inez said investors would need to navigate several important data points, with the main one being the US Consumer Price Index to be released on Tuesday.
He explained that barring any significantly hotter inflation surprise, Bursa Malaysia should remain supported by the outlook for US Federal Reserve interest rate cuts later in the year, as well as ongoing market and economic support by Chinese policymakers. He said unless there are any surprises in the US inflation data, and given the absence of the China influence due to the Chinese New Year, Bursa Malaysia is expected to be somewhat range-bound with a slight bullish bias next week. Inez also noted that the Bank of Thailand hinted at possible rate cuts this week, raising questions about how far Bank Negara Malaysia may be from signalling a rate cut bias. This would be ostensibly positive for local markets. Rakuten Trade Sendirian Berhad Equity Research Vice President Thong Pak Leng also expects the market to be quiet due to the long holiday and fewer trading sessions. However, he believes the surge in crude oil prices provides trading opportunity for energy stocks.
Malaysia's wholesale and retail trade is expected to continue to increase in the first quarter of this year. Angkatan Koperasi Kebangsaan Malaysia Berhad, commonly known as Angkasa, President Datuk Seri Dr. Abdul Fattah Abdullah said apart from the factors of political stability and economic growth, the trade performance is also driven by the higher rakyat's purchasing power due to the various incentives given by the government.
Melihat pada faktor ini, saya yakin dan percaya indeks ini akan terus meningkat sekiranya permintaan domestik terus kukuh, terutamanya dalam aktiviti pemborongan dan peruncitan, khususnya yang melibatkan barangan keperluan asas. Angkasa juga yakin sektor pemborongan dan peruncitan menerusi inisiatif projek barangan asas BA100 berupaya untuk membantu kerajaan mendepani cabaran kos sara hidup.
Datuk Seri Dr. Abdul Fattah was commenting on the report by the Department of Statistics Malaysia regarding the country's volume index of wholesale and retail trades, which soared 4.6% and 2.9% respectively in the fourth quarter of last year.
The world cocoa prices hit new records for a 9th straight day on Friday, leaving market participants panicked that supply shortages are becoming systemic and will extend to a 4th straight season, if not more. The price surge is also expected to bite further into the pockets of chocolate consumers, as chocolate makers have mostly run down their stocks of cheap beans.
Chocolate major Hershey said it expects historic cocoa prices will limit its earnings growth this year amid a further slowdown in demand for its pricier products. Benchmark ICE London cocoa futures hit a record £4,916 a metric ton on Friday and were trading 2.2% higher at £4,762 by 2 p.m. local time on Friday. Prices have more than doubled since the start of last year. In New York, benchmark ICE cocoa futures hit a new high of $6,030 a ton on Friday and were last up 0.5% at $5,827, having nearly doubled since the start of last year. Dealers said despite record high prices, sellers of physical cocoa have largely withdrawn from the market, leaving it with a continued liquidity problem.
In our foreign segment, 7 killed, including children, and 50 other evacuated in Russian drone strike. Stay tuned.
Salam sejahtera. Saya ucapkan selamat tahun baru pada masyarakat Cina supaya tahun ini disambut dengan gembira oleh keluarga dan dengan damai. Sin Nian Paina, dan mudah-mudahan tahun ini tahun bahagia dan tahun-tahun berikutnya begitu lebih bahagia. Sin Nian Hao, Nian Nian Hao. Terima kasih.
Welcome back. Malaysia and Brazil are committed to work together to promote and protect the developing countries' interests, especially in eradicating poverty and famine.
According to Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim during a phone call with his Brazilian counterpart, Luiz Ignacio Lula da Silva, both countries have agreed to forge cooperation and elevate the existing ties into another level. In particular, within the fields of forestry management, green energy, climate change, halal industry, science and innovations. Datuk Sri Anwar also expressed his gratitude and appreciation to President Lula for his firm support on the Palestinian plight. The Prime Minister also received an invitation for an official visit to Brazil in November this year.
Russia launched a drone attack on Ukraine's city of Kharkiv, killing 7 people, including 3 small children, triggering blazes and damaging infrastructure and residential houses. Kharkiv Mayor Igor Terekov said earlier the attack sprayed nearby homes with burning fuel, forcing at least 50 people to evacuate.
Alexander Filchakov, the head of the Kharkiv prosecutor's office, said in a video posted on the Telegram messaging app that the death toll from the drone attacks on Kharkiv has risen to 7. Among them are 3 children, 7, 4 years old, and a baby about 6 months old. He added 3 drones hit an infrastructure object in Nemyshliansky district close to 11 p.m. local time on Friday. Emergency workers managed to rescue 4 people, with 1 person sustaining burns to 40% of their body. Saturday's strike followed a string of nighttime attacks in Kharkiv and a village east of the regional capital. Russia did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but says it does not deliberately target civilian sites.
Over 2,000 people in central Mexico were evacuated on Friday due to a fuel leak, with no victims and no further incidents reported. A leak on a state-run oil company, Pemex, pipeline in the central state of Jalisco unleashed an up to 15-meter fuel stream and accumulation of gases in the atmosphere, according to local media, forcing residents of nearby villages to leave their homes.
The escape, which was reported in the morning, was finally blocked in the early afternoon. The authority have yet to establish on what could have caused the leak. Images shared by the Jalisco Civil Protection showed a foam plug firefighters and brigades placed at the leaking site. Mexico has historically suffered hundreds of illegal ruptures in its network of oil and gas pipelines. One of the worst accidents in recent history killed over 70 people when fuel thieves punctured a pipeline a few miles from one of Mexico's main refineries. Up to 800 people flocked to fill plastic containers from the 7-meter gasoline geyser that ensued. A couple of hours later, it erupted in flames in a powerful explosion.
Up next, Bayern Munich looking to break Leverkusen's 30 undefeated game streak. That and more in our sports segment. Kicking off our sports segment tonight, Qatar and Jordan will play an All-Arab Asian Cup final later, where both teams are highly motivated to answer critics who gave them no chance of going so far.
Surprise package, Jordan finished third in their group and scraped through to the knockouts, where they suddenly elevated their game to knock out heavyweights Iraq and South Korea. That was a triumph for their Moroccan coach, Hussein Amouta, who was heavily criticized when they finished 2023 without a win in 7 games, which included 6 losses.
قبل النهائية يعني صراحة لا تحتاج يعني أن تقدم ولا يعني أن نتكلم على رغبة الفريقين يعني للبصم على إنجاز ولقب ممكن يكون تاريخي. طبعا نحن نستعد يعني بشكل يعني عادي يعني بدون من يعني نزيد يعني من الضغط اللي هو عامله أول حاجة أهمية المقابلة. وإن شاء الله أتمنى أن نكون يعني في الموعد وأن نقدم مستوى يعني يليق أول حاجة يعني بالمنتخب ديالنا. ونؤكد يعني المستوى اللي قدمناه منذ يعني الدخول في هذه المسابقة.
While Jordan will play with nothing to lose in their first final, hosts Qatar are the defending champions after winning their maiden title in 2019. Qatar disappointed fans when they lost all their World Cup group games in 2022, but they've turned things around in the Asian Cup, scoring in every game en route to the final, including a thrilling 3-2 semi-final win over higher-ranked Iran.
In Bundesliga, Bayern Leverkusen manager Xavi Alonso said his side need to be almost perfect to beat Bayern Munich on Saturday, despite the German champions' injury concerns.
Alonso, who won the World Cup and Champions League along with several league titles during a glittering playing career for Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich and Spain, promised to harness his big match experience.
Ja, natürlich, es ist ein großes Spiel morgen. Wir spielen gegen Bayern zu Hause, so es ist immer ein großes Spiel und die großen Gegner, wir warten und wir brauchen eine Top-Leistung, fast perfekt zu spielen, gute Chancen zu haben. Aber wir wollen wie immer spielen mit unserer Idee und das haben wir vorbereitet.
Alonso said his side was wary of Bayern striker Harry Kane, who has scored 24 goals in 20 league games since moving from Tottenham in August. Earlier on Friday, Bayern manager Thomas Tuchel said captain Manuel Neuer, who has not trained with the team this week, was in doubt as he battles to recover from a knee injury. Tuchel confirmed backup Sven Ulrich is on standby should Neuer be unable to return.
Wir werden es am Fernseher anschauen. Wir haben das Privileg, selber dabei zu sein, das mit zu beeinflussen. Dafür machen wir das und dafür bin ich sehr dankbar, dass ich die Möglichkeit habe. Das sind die ganz besonderen Momente, um die es geht. Wir haben eine extrem schwierige und extrem reizvolle Woche vor uns mit drei schweren Auswärtsspielen.
Have won 26 and drawn 4 of 30 games in all competitions this season. But despite dropping just 8 of possible 60 points in the league, Leverkusen are just 2 clear of Bayern.
In tennis, Hubert Hurkacz's quest for a successful title defense is in full force at the Open 13 province as he raced past Czech Tomáš Hašek 6-3, 6-4 in a 62-minute quarter-final.
The 26-year-old Hurkacz was nearly untouchable on serve, winning 28 of his 31 points behind his first delivery. Hurkacz struck the ball cleanly as he maintained aggression from the baseline and redirected the ball with ease to reach the last 4. World number 8 Hurkacz, who reached the last 8 at the Australian Open, is the first player to post 10 tour-level wins this year. Machach, 23, was aiming for his first tour-level semi-final and maiden top 10 victory. Ugo Humbert was also untroubled earlier on Friday, needing just 1 hour 9 minutes to down Alejandro Davidovich Fokina 6-1, 6-4. Despite making only 58% of his first serves, the lefty Humbert dropped just 2 points behind his hefty first delivery and did not face a breakpoint all match. A 4-time tour-level titleist, Humbert is riding a 6-match winning streak at indoor hardcore tournaments, having closed the 2023 season with a trophy in Metz. Humbert is into the Marseille semi-finals for the 3rd time and will next look to earn his maiden win versus Hurkacz.
Elsewhere, number 6 seed Beatrice Haddad Maia reached the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open semi-finals for a 2nd straight year after upsetting number 2 seed Ons Jauber 6-3, 6-4 in 1 hour and 30 minutes.
This year, her defeat to Jaber in the first outdoor hardcourt meeting leveled her record against the Tunisian at 2 wins apiece. It was also Haddad Maia's first top 10 win since beating Jaber in last year's Roland Garros quarterfinals. Haddad Maia, who fell to eventual champion Belinda Bencic in the 2023 semi-finals, will face number 7 seed Daria Kasatkina next as she bids to make her first final of 2024. The top-half semi-final will see number 1 seed Elena Rybakina take on number 8 seed Lyudmila Samsonova after both advanced in straight sets. Rybakina defeated lucky loser Kristina Buxa for the 2nd time this year, coming from 3-1 down in the 2nd set to win 6-1, 6-4. Whereas Buxa had pushed Rybakina hard in the Adelaide 2nd round. This time round, Rybakina sailed through the first set for the loss of just 8 points. The Spaniard's ability to redirect pace garnered her an early lead in the 2nd set, but Rybakina recovered to win 5 of the last 6 games. The former Wimbledon champion fired 7 aces and dropped just 5 points behind her first serve. Rybakina will face a stern test against Samsonova, who defeated number 4 seed Barbara Krejcikova 7-5, 6-4.
And with that, we reach the end of Malaysia Tonight. In our top story today, government focuses on economic development and promoting investment. Do join us again tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2 and saluran Berita RTM for your daily world updates. Before you go, here's a clip of Chinese New Year celebrations in different parts of the world. I'm Darryl Baptist on behalf of our English news team. Happy Lunar New Year and good night.